Hi, I'm Logan from Popular Woodworking Magazine.
And I'm Phil from Woodsmith, and we're here to talk about one of our favorite workshop problem solvers, CA glue like Titebond Instant Bond.
Exactly. I find there's many different ways I use it in my shop. One of my favorites is when I'm working with a piece of spalted material. Now, spalting is when kind of fungus starts to take root in the wood and it can soften those fibers. So I'll find areas that are just really spongy and soft. But what I found is grabbing some thin Instant Bond, I can really cover the surface and it wicks right in and it really consolidates and fortifies those fibers and it really homogenizes the surface. So as I'm working it, everything works pretty much the same.
Yeah, and that's really important on the final project and even in cutting joinery where we want things consistent.
Exactly.
Now let's stay with the thin for a while here. And while we want to highlight some options for using Instant Bond that aren't adhesive, it is a great adhesive.
It is.
And one of the ways that I like to use it is in small boxes like this where I'm using finger joints. Finger joints have a lot of glue surface. The problem is getting glue on all those surfaces can really turn into a disaster. So what we'll do is grab the thin, and with the piece already dry assembled, now I'll just drizzle it right into those surfaces, and it wicks down into the joint faces, locking everything together. Once it's all sanded up, it's a great, quick and easy project on those small boxes.
Exactly. Now let's step away from thin for a moment. A lot of times, I'll use pieces of figured wood for accents in my projects. The problem with figured wood is because that grain reverses direction, it can chip out.
And it's heartbreaking.
It is, and you have a really nice piece, but with one piece of chip out. So what I like to do in that instance is attack that chip out with either a gouge or a rotary tool and kind of smooth it out. And then what I'll do is I'll come in with thick or medium Instant Bond, and I'll start filling in that surface. And I'll start adding it, and then I'll actually hit it with Instant Bond Accelerator. And the accelerator cures this in a matter of 15 or 20 seconds. Just need a couple of squirts and it will start to chemically cure that. Once it's cured and I have that flaw filled over and domed over with CA glue, I can sand that down, and after I apply finish, it blends right into that figure.
Again, turning something that's a flaw into something that nobody's ever going to notice. Now sometimes you want to take advantage of some of the characteristics of wood and use it to your advantage, but without making it to be a huge deal.
Exactly.
For example, on this piece of cherry we have a knot that it looks okay, but we want it to be a smooth level surface when we're done. So we'll grab the thick again and we can start to fill some of those gaps in there just to create a little base layer. Let that settle down in a little. Hit it with the accelerator. And now to make this a little bit less noticeable, I have some sanding dust that I've pulled out of my palm sander. And I can sprinkle that over the top. Once it's level, we can go with the medium or the thin. Get that glue to wick down into those fibers in the sanding dust. Now we can let it sit like this, hit it with the accelerator again, and now we have a smooth surface that's not going to draw attention, but still shows off the characters of the wood.
Exactly. You know, and I do something similar. I work a lot with walnut. And what I found with walnut is you get a lot of these pith streaks, where it's just a black pith streak right through the middle of the board. And instead of throwing that board out, instead, I'll actually fill it not with sanding dust, but with coffee grounds.
Maybe a medium roast.
Yeah, like medium or dark. And then I will grab that thin, and same thing. This wicking action pulls it right down into those grounds, and it locks them in place. And then once that's all cured, it sands extremely nicely, and it blends right into the board.
You know, one of the things that we use a lot here at Woodsmith is templates when we're shaping complex parts. For example, this is a template for one of our rocking chair projects. We use hardboard because it's easy to shape. The downside is that it's really easy for it to also gather up some dents and dings along the way. And we don't want to transfer those to the workpiece. So to consolidate the edges of the templates, we can grab some Instant Bond thin and just run a bead along the edge of the template. Once it dries, we have a much harder, more durable template surface. Now when we come back to this project down the road, couple of years, we know that that template is going to perform the way that it's supposed to, and we're going to end up with great looking project parts. So you can see why Instant Bond CA glues are problem solvers in the woodsmith and popular woodworking shop, and they'll be a great problem solver in your shop too.